Thank you. We are recording this session so that we can put it on our YouTube channel so that you can access this in the future, or if there are people who aren't able to make it today, they can still get all of the helpful information. I can also send you all the slides after we're done with this session, so if you want to go back and reference it, you can. People are still filtering in here, so I'll give it another minute.
Yeah, and I can introduce myself while we're starting to
Yeah, please.
wait for a few more students. My name is Sarah Reinbrecht. I'm the Assistant Director of Employer Relations here at Tufts. So, I work with Willa to support our employers and make sure that our students have opportunities for internships, co-ops, post-grad opportunities. I work with employers in the arts, media, and communication realm, as well as business, consulting, finance, and then social impact and nonprofit. Yeah, I've been here for just a few months, so really happy to be here. I've been loving Tufts so far.
Thanks, Sarah. And I'm Willa. I'm the recruitment coordinator of employer relations. So we are both on the employer relations team. That means that we are always working with the employers that are eager to meet tough students. We help bring them onto campus for info sessions. We organize the career fair. So if you set up an appointment with an advisor, that would not be with one of us. They're the ones who would be helping you more with your, process and strategies for your career search, but we're the ones who are kind of working with the employers to bring them to you and to make sure that you get connected with great opportunities. Um, I'm also our Handshake point person. So if you have questions about Handshake, feel free to email me. I can put my email in the chat at the end of this. I also organize the career fair, which is coming up next Friday, and that's what we are all here for today, is to walk through some things that you can expect from the fair. Some of you may have attended in the past, and some of you this might be your first time. So I know it can be a little bit intimidating going into a big event like this that you've maybe never experienced before. So we just wanted to walk through some of the things that you can expect. Feel free to put questions in the chat at any time, and Sarah will be monitoring that chat. If there's anything that makes sense to tackle in the moment, we can. Otherwise, we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. Yeah, this is scheduled to be for a 30-minute presentation, but we'll also happy to stay on to answer more questions for as long as you guys need. So let's go ahead and get started. So our career fair is next Friday, September 27th from 11:30 to 3:30. We are doing only an in-person fair this year. I know some of you may have been here in the past when we've done virtual fairs too. This year we're just doing in person. So next Friday in Gancher Center. So, oops, why is this not working? There we go. So some of the things that we're going to talk about today are mostly why attend a career fair in the first place. What is a career fair? We'll talk about some things that you can do to prepare. And then again, we'll have time for questions. Okay. So first, what is an in-person career fair? So there will be, I think at this point, we're at about 150 employers that will be in attendance, which is really exciting. And they'll all have booths set up. So if you've gone to like the club fairs or if you've seen tabling happen in the campus center at Tufts, that's kind of what a career fair is. It's lots of employers that have booths. They'll bring some swag, they'll bring handouts, they'll bring their knowledge about their company. And then students can kind of walk up and down the aisles and chat with employers at different booths. There will be a couple of representatives from each company who are there to just meet you, talk to you about opportunities. There's also going to be a photo booth available. So if you have a LinkedIn profile and you want to get a better headshot that you can put for your LinkedIn, or just in general, if you want a professional photo, you can go to our photo booth at any time during the duration of the fair to get that done. The line can be pretty long for that, but it moves quickly. So don't be discouraged. It's definitely
Mhm.
worth it. Also, this year, we very excitingly are going to have Jumbo, the Tufts mascot, is going to be in attendance. So if you'd like to take any photos with Jumbo, Jumbo will be there too. Maybe not so much for a professional LinkedIn photo, but still fun to have. We also just recommend that you bring some resumes. You can hand them out to employers if there's anyone you're particularly excited about and you want to make sure that they have your information. You can give them a copy of your resume. We'll talk about that more. So why should I attend a career fair? So the real answer is to meet these employers that are going to be there. There are going to be employers that are looking to hire students for entry-level positions. So if you're a senior, you're looking for something after graduation. Maybe you are not a senior, but you're looking for a summer internship or a co-op, or even honestly, sorry in advance if I have some coughing fits during the course of this session. Even if you're a freshman or if you're not really looking for a particular opportunity and you're thinking, what's in this for me? Why should I even come if I'm not looking for something in particular? It's still absolutely worth it to show up. I think that just exploring, getting to know who's out there, maybe even just starting to build those relationships with employers, networking is really your best friend when it comes to finding opportunities, and it's never too early to start. So I want to walk through some things that you can do to prepare for the fair before it even happens. It's easy to kind of forget it's happening until the morning of and then be scrambling. So props to you guys for showing up to this session to kind of think ahead of time about what you can expect and what you can do to prepare. So the first thing you're going to want to do is register for the fair on Handshake. After I go through some of these slides, I'll share my screen and walk you through actually what it looks like on Handshake to find the fair and to register for it if you haven't done that already. The other thing that we recommend that you do is download the Handshake app on your phone. So if you're able to download apps to your phone, the Handshake app is really user friendly. And one of the things that's really helpful about having the app on your phone is that when we get to the fair, every booth is going to have a QR code. They might have some additional QR codes for their own, that takes you to their website, but they will all have the same QR code that's through Handshake. And if you scan that QR code, it'll check you in at that booth. And what that means is that on your end and on their end, at the end of the fair, you can see all the booths that you visited. So if there's a company that's like, oh, we talked to 30 students today, but we didn't get all of their names, we didn't get all of their resumes, they can then go on Handshake and they can see a list of all of the people they talked to. So highly, highly recommend scanning those QR codes every time you visit a booth. You can only do that if you have the Handshake app on your phone. So download that app. Number two, add the date to your calendar so you don't forget. Number three, check out the list of companies that'll be in attendance ahead of time. So if you go onto Handshake on the fair page, you'll be able to see a list of all the employers that are going to be there. So take a look. I think they're only listed alphabetically. They're not listed by industry, unfortunately. So you might have to do some scrolling since there are 150 companies. But take a look at some of the companies. There might be some that you've heard of. There might be some that you haven't heard of. It's worth clicking through and just kind of seeing what they're all about. There might be some that you're like, oh, I'm so excited they're coming. I can't wait to connect. I want to make sure to keep that on my radar so that when I'm at the fair, I know to go to their booth. And you might want to research some of those companies ahead of time too. Maybe you want to see if they have any job postings already on Handshake. Maybe they have summer internships for sophomores or juniors. We'll talk in a minute about what to do when you go up to a booth and what you can talk about with employers. But one of the things that you're going to want to talk to them about is, asking any questions that you might have. And so it always helps to feel more confident in those kinds of interactions when you already know a little bit about the organization. You've been able to come up with some questions that you have based on having done the research on those companies. The next thing you might want to do ahead of the fair is update your resume. So maybe you already have a resume, but you haven't gotten it looked at in a minute. Maybe you've never made a resume before. You want to have a great, strong resume because then any of these employers that you make connections with, you can share your resume with them. You can put it on your Handshake profile, actually. That's something that you can do on Handshake is you can add it as an attachment. That means that if an employer goes to your Handshake profile, they'll be able to download your resume and see all of your experiences. So if you want to get your resume checked out by someone who might be able to give you some feedback, some input, you can either make an appointment with a career advisor at the Career Center, or you can do drop-in career labs. So we have career fellows who are student workers who support us in the Career Center, and they are going to be available from 12 to 2 Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. To take a look at your resume, to answer any questions you have. It's just a great way if you didn't think ahead to make an appointment. You can just drop into our career center and chat with a student fellow who will be able to give you some feedback, some input. So you don't have to do anything in advance for that. If you want to make an appointment, you do have to make an appointment in advance. You can do that on Handshake. Again, I'll send you these slides, and there's a link right here, but you can also find it on our website. All right, so I said that we would talk a little bit about what to do when you actually go to the booths. So you might want to think about preparing what you might want to say ahead of time. Obviously, it's going to be catered to each individual employer, but there are some things that you can kind of have in your back pocket. Some of you may have heard of the concept of an elevator pitch. So an elevator pitch is just kind of like a 15 to 30-second, like little spiel that you can give, just introducing yourself, saying who you are, maybe saying what your major is, what your interests are. Um, the reason it's called an elevator pitch is the idea is if you're in an elevator with, I don't know, the CEO of a company that you've dreamed of working at, and you only have the time while you're in the elevator with them before you get off the elevator to introduce yourself and make an impression, you got to do it in that period of time. So that's kind of similar when you're at a fair. Things are going to be fast moving. You're not going to have tons and tons of time to really get to know these employers. So you want to make a nice, snappy, quick little introduction. So some things that you can include in your intro are name and pronouns, your school year, maybe your major, or if you don't have a major yet, something you're interested in, why you're attending the fair. So looking for a summer internship, looking for a job after graduation, just exploring. Why are you interested in this particular employer? And then any questions that you might have for the company. So here is just a little quick example of what that might look like. You might say, "Hi, my name is Kelly, and I use the she series pronouns. I'm a junior, and I'm really interested in education. I'm attending the career fair today to explore and learn about opportunities other than teaching. I'm excited to be talking to you because I read about your internship program, and it seems like a really great opportunity to gain experience working with younger children. Can you tell me more about the internship program?" So that's just an example, but that's something that you might want to just kind of prep a little bit in advance, so that it's not too nerve-wracking to go up to an employer if you already have an idea of what you might want to say. All right. So I am going to pause here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to swap on over to a view of Handshake. I'm going to show you how to find the fair in Handshake so that you know where you can learn more information about it. You can see who's going to be there. You can register, all that good stuff. So hold on one moment. All right. So this is a view of the Handshake homepage from the perspective of a student. This is what you would see if you log on to Handshake. If you haven't been on Handshake before, by the way, it's a great resource. Great thing to look through. There's this new feature where they have people sharing like reels and cute little videos. You can see jobs that are relevant to your interests, all this cool stuff. You can see jobs, events, one of the features, though, I think it's within events. So if we go to the events category here on the side, I'm on this left-hand toolbar and I click on events, then you'll see one of the categories here is career fairs at your school. So if you click on career fairs at your school, boom, first thing that pops up is the Tufts Fall 2024 in-person career fair. Now, you can also just search for this by using the general search bar. You don't have to go through the events page. That's just the easiest way to find it. So if you go here, you're going to click on this button right here. And here we go. Here is the landing page for our fair. 7 days away. Yay. So over here will be a button that says register. I personally am not qualified to join because this is a fake student account for me since I'm not actually a tough student and it knows that, so it won't let me register. But for all of you, you should be able to click register right here. You can also favorite it if you want to just have it easy to access later on through your Handshake page. It's just kind of like liking it just to make sure that you can find it again easily. But if you scroll down here, you can see a description of the fair. You can see some of the links that I've already mentioned. Drop in hours to meet with a career fellow, making an appointment. Prepare for the fair is the session that you're in right now, but we do also have previous versions of this session on our YouTube channel, so you can find that there if you want to watch. Here's a link to download the Handshake app. Um, Here are some attachments. If you look at this bottom one, this is the one that would be relevant for you. These top two are for employers, but down here is just a checklist, some things that you can look through to further prepare for the fair if you'd like. And then up here, you'll see this tab that says all employers. So if you click on all employers, sorry, my computer is very slow. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. You actually can filter. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so here's a list of all of the employers that are attending the fair. And you'll see on this left-hand side, I think this might be new. You can actually use these filters. And so if you want to look only for the companies that accept OPT or CPT, will sponsor, doesn't require a US work visa. If you're looking specifically for companies that have jobs or internships or co-ops, keep in mind that some of these companies might have job opportunities that they just haven't posted on Handshake yet. So that don't think of it exclusively based on this. But it's a helpful starting point. And I'm guessing down here, yeah, you can filter by industry, you can filter by majors, school years, all these things. So that's a really great way to kind of filter down, okay, here are the companies coming that I would be particularly interested in visiting. Employers I'm following just refers to this is just a general Handshake tip is whenever you're using Handshake, if you see a company that you're interested in and you want to kind of follow them, it's just like on any other social media. If you follow a company, then that means that you'll get Handshake will let you know if they post a new job, if they post a new event, anything new that they add to their profile, you'll get notified about that. And then you can also find them again more easily because you can look at the list of employers I'm following. So if you already follow a few companies, you're curious to see which ones are going to be at the fair, you can click on employers I'm following and you'll see a list of I on this fake profile. I don't have any that I'm following, but if I did, you'd see them here. Okay. So that is pretty much what that's going to look like. Again, just to recap, to find the main fair page, you're going to go to events on this left side toolbar over here. You are going to click on career fairs at your school and then career fair right there, and you can register from there. Okay. I'm going to quickly take a look at the chat, see if there's anything. Are the professional photos free? Yes, they are. Free of cost. Are all the organizations that'll be there on Handshake? Yes, we just covered that. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for being on top of the chat. Awesome. All right, I am going to reshare my screen again. Let me get back to our PowerPoint here. Okay, and now Sarah is going to walk us through what things are going to be like on the day of the fair.
Right. So thank you, Willa, for going through that. So we wanted to start this section just giving you a map of the career fair and so what you can expect, yeah, in terms of how it'll be set up. So you can see there'll be two options to check in. So in these different orange spaces, and then you'll be able to get your name tag. And then, of course, the majority of the room will be devoted to the employer booths where you can walk through and talk with them. But then in addition to that, like Willa talked about, we do have a photo booth where you'll be able to take photos for your LinkedIn or for another platform. And that is totally free. And then in addition to the photo booth, we'll have a space where you can put your coats and backpacks, as well as a student hangout. That will be a good place to just sit and pause for a minute, eat a snack if you need to, chat with your peers, and so on. And then the Career Center will also have a table that you can ask us questions at. You can check in with us, or again, just kind of take a breather. And then another great resource is this Quiet Corners room right here, or quiet conversation. So this is a space where you'll be able to have a conversation with an employer in just a quieter environment. And we'll talk more about that, but it will be off of the main Ganter room in a multi-purpose room.
So yeah, if any of you have been to Gancher before, just so you can kind of orient yourself to what this room looks like, this is the gym. So the track goes all the way around here. So this is the front entrance of Gancher. This is where there's a big stone staircase leading up. There is also a wheelchair accessible ramp up to the front entrance. So that's this part down at the bottom here. So you'd go in through here and then boom, you hit the check-in table right there. Or you can go in the side entrance. So this entrance would be the one where you go in through Tisch where they have you scan your ID usually and you go through the turnstiles and whatnot, and then you go like around and through past where the gym is with the machine, like the workout machines and things like that, down past here, and then go in this side. That might not make any sense, but if you've been in Gancher before, you probably know what I'm talking about. But either entrance is equally fine. Either way will bring you right to the check-in booth. You are going to want to bring your student ID. We're going to have little tappers where you can tap your ID, and that will show us that you've checked in on Handshake. And then, as Sarah said, you can make a name tag. You can drop your backpacks before you get started. There's also this Career Center Q&A table. So this is where we'll always have a couple of people stationed here, probably mostly fellows, our student career fellows. That's just a great place to ask any questions if you're overwhelmed or confused or have any questions in general about the Career Center. You can stop by this table. Yeah. All right, moving on. Oops, hold on. Okay, great. What to bring? I
All
already
right,
said.
yeah. So, yeah, what to bring? Just to emphasize that you want to make sure you're bringing your ID card because that is the way you'll be able to be let into the fair. This is a tough specific event, so really we want you to have your ID card so we can check you in. And then we also ask or encourage you to bring a smartphone if you have one, and then download the app beforehand. Willa talked about this a lot, but having your phone or smartphone with a Handshake app downloaded will make it a lot easier to check in with employers to see what employers are there, which ones you can talk to. So that is a really great resource. Also, make sure that it is charged. And then in addition to that, we recommend considering wearing or at least bringing a face mask. So it is that time of year where germs are abound. So it is totally acceptable to wear a face mask. And definitely that is something to at least think about bringing. I believe Willa also said this, but yes, you want to make sure you have multiple copies of your resume because this will be a great way or a great thing to hand out to the employers. You can also use it to reference your experiences. So definitely make sure you have at least a few copies of your resume. And you can always bring your friends. We want as many students as possible to attend at this event. So we'd love to have you bring your peers, bring your friends. It can also be helpful to approach the fair together. It can be a great way to make the fair even that much more enjoyable. And we want the career fair to be a accessible, enjoyable, and meaningful event for everyone. So one of the ways that we're doing this is that student hangout area that we've been talking about. So again, this will be a great way where you can stop and get a snack, take a break, sit down, and just really recharge or decompress if you need to. And it is totally acceptable, if not encouraged, to use this space. So don't hesitate to go to that hangout area and do what you need to do. And then similarly, we have a quiet conversation space, and this is an opportunity to speak with someone in a quieter area. And you will need to ask employers to go to this area with you, but it is a really great option. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slide, but definitely a great way to just have a conversation in a quieter space. And then if there are any accommodations that you anticipate needing or any questions or concerns that you want to share with us, we want to hear from you. So you can reach out to us as well as our Associate Director, Sue Atkins. Again, truly, we want to make sure that this is an enjoyable and accessible event. So do not hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns about accommodations or any requests as well. And then this quiet conversation space that we've been talking about. So the career fair will be fairly loud. There's, again, almost 150 employers and well over 1,000 students. So it will be a loud environment. And so if you are either overwhelmed or having a hard time hearing employers or just want to have a quieter environment for any reason, you will be able to ask an employer to speak with you in this quiet conversation space, which is in the Tisch multi-purpose room. And if you're having trouble finding it, you can ask the Career Center staff members as well. And our employers know that this space exists. We're talking about this space with them. And so don't feel like this is a burden or don't feel like this isn't something that, they don't want to use. Part of it is that, yes, we want this event to be accessible. So we really are doing everything we can, and it's totally reasonable to have this different space. But then again, it can be a very loud environment regardless. So it's totally okay to ask employers to go into this quiet conversations space. And one of the ways you can ask to speak with an employer in this area is just to say, do you mind if we go to the quiet conversation space to continue this quiet conversation so I can hear you a little bit better? So something like that. But again, we really encourage you to use this space if it's helpful for you. And then because this is an event where you're meeting with employers, we encourage you to think about what you're wearing and how you're presenting yourself, especially since there will be that LinkedIn photo booth that provides an opportunity to take a photo for your LinkedIn. And so some recommendations that we have, or just some things to keep in mind, is to avoid logos and busy patterns, as well as keeping accessories and jewelry to a minimum. And this is primarily because employers want to speak with you and learn about your professional experiences. And sometimes having a lot of logos or busy patterns or a lot of jewelry, it can just make it a little bit harder to focus on all the things that you can contribute in a given position. So just something to keep in mind. And then in terms of smiling and being friendly and approachable, again, this is really an event intended to help you meet employers. And so you want to be open to connecting with them, hearing what they have to say, or at least, hearing some of the questions that other people are asking. And so you want to have body language as much as possible, or to the best of your ability, that will demonstrate you're interested in hearing more about the opportunities, hearing more about a company, and overall being willing to connect with these employers. And then again, Willow talked about this a little bit, but when you are at the booths, one of the first things that you want to do is scan the QR code at the employer booth to check in with the employer. So this is really important. So it allows the employer to see what students checked in with them and who they can follow up with. And that's also helpful for you to see what employers you're meeting with at the fair. And then it's also helpful for us because we're seeing what employers are most popular and therefore who we should invite back. You also want to be prepared to introduce yourself and ask questions, or again, at least be prepared to listen to the questions that other people are asking. So Willow went over this, but again, really make sure you're asking questions about the opportunities they have, what the company is like, how you can follow up with them, and so on. Additionally, employers will have a variety of handouts, so swag, company information, a number of different materials, and you're absolutely welcome to take them. So feel free to make use of all the handouts and swag that they have. And something else to make sure that you do is to get the employer contact information to follow up with them and to write a thank you note. So you want to, again, view this as a networking event. So you can use this as a starting point to introduce yourself and get connected. And then you want to get some employer contact information so that you can follow up with the employers and continue this professional relationship with them. After the fair, like I just started talking about, we recommend planning on sending thank you notes to the employers you spoke with, or at the very least, the ones that you view as high priority and are really excited about their opportunities. And this thank you note can be just a reference to what they shared with you, reiterating what you learned from them and share some of the next steps that you're going to take. So if you are going to apply for their opportunities, you can definitely mention that in the thank you note. Additionally, if you want to apply for opportunities, definitely do so. The employers are visiting this fair because they want to get applicants and they're really excited about tough students. So definitely apply to the opportunities that you see at the fair. And again, if you have any questions about these opportunities, you can ask them, the company, either during the fair or in your follow-up thank you note. And then In addition to applying for opportunities, we recommend following companies on Handshake. So just as Willa talked about, following companies on Handshake is a really great thing to do because it allows you to just be updated with when they post opportunities, when they have events, and if they have anything else on their Handshake page that is helpful. And
These are just
then,
some helpful links, so we don't necessarily have to go through these. But when I share the PowerPoint slides with you all at the end,
um,
you can click on these links.